the stock market, meaning companies' new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. They're nuts. They know nothing.
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now on Market Mania. The no bullshit approach to all financial markets, including Bitcoin, political betting, even Dash, and the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. Today on Market Mania, we get to the bag like we always do. Scaling questions about cryptocurrencies. Dash questions for our special guest, Eric Olson, also known as Doge. What was it?
Age of Doge.
Age of Doge also. Is Dash greater than BTC? We'll find out soon. But Tony, the producer, the markets are tanking. Everything's down. S&P's down. You got Bitcoin down. Gold down. Everything. It's all down. Did the bankers, what happened, Tony? Did the fat cats and the suits and the bankers get together? Was Jay Powell involved? What went on today?
Well,
I've been sleeping in.
Yeah, a combination of things. Powell was testifying before the Senate today. He basically didn't drop any surprises. He said steady as she goes. They're still targeting inflation targets. I mean, it's crazy. You look at the price of housing, the price of stonks, the price of Bitcoin, and tell me there's no inflation. But he doesn't seem to think there is, so he's not going to do anything. I mean, steady as she goes. If he says one syllable wrong, these markets look even worse than they do today. And I think this is just a standard correction. This thing's been heating up. It's been frothy. And we can look forward to those stimulus checks coming again at the end of March. So I think we've got at least one more leg up on this crazy market before we see a major tank. And he's talking about economy improving. I just don't see that happening. I think this market is ready for a big burst. But I don't know. What do you think?
The stimmy's coming. And another trillion change in the stimmy. You got, yes, it's frothy. Yes, everyone's aped into everything. Yes, it looks like an inflation pump. I think we've been saying on that on this show for like the life of the show. Mm-hmm. And there's not a metals guy out there that's not going to look at a red day in the stock market, big red day, and just come out and just be like, hey, all right, Zero Hedge is like wakes up, like gets his coffee and is just like, oh, like rock hard, just like, all right. We got another down day in the market today. Oof, this is it. This is when it all fucking falls apart.
This is the big one we've been saying for 5 years.
And I think you're right. I think we pump from here. I mean, I don't know. Like, it seems like they're printing and firing. Yep. I mean,
endless support for this market.
I agree. The housing market, it looks like, the price of homes go through the roof. Obviously, people expect that purchasing power of that dollar to be worth less. They want some hard assets. Like Riff Raff said, they want some real estate property. So right. Where do you really want to go with your capital? Eric Olson, welcome to Market Mania for the first time. Where do you think the money should go? What's a good place to put money? Value.
Well, thanks for having me on. Well, for me, my place to put money has been in crypto since 2011 because as soon as I realized that this was a thing that people were going to actually use and it actually had a market price. Apologize for my dog there. She has opinions. But I see some real problems with the dollar as far as, constantly inflating the supply of it. I think that's one factor. But also just the friction in the banking system, the cost that there is in, if you try to do a wire transfer, if you try to send money via systems like Western Union and MoneyGram, especially internationally for remittances, even relatively small merchants have huge amounts of fees in credit card processing, and then fraud, which is something that can be pretty much entirely eliminated by crypto. So I think there's a huge utility in cryptocurrency, and there's an opportunity for it to become the standard means of exchange.
So everything
now
you
it
just
says-
mentioned. Oh, sorry, Brian. I was just going to say everything
No,
you
no,
just
hit
mentioned
him. Hit
is
him,
why
Tony.
they created Bitcoin. So you were just saying the other day everybody should sell their Bitcoin. I know you were saying you were going to sell all your Bitcoin on a Facebook post, and you were just going to go all in on Dash. Why don't you explain your thinking behind that?
Well, I never tell anybody else to do anything. They're welcome to
Not
copy
investment
me
advice, folks.
they're welcome to copy me if they want to, but really you should look at everything and do your own analysis. How I invest is generally in things that I'm interested in and that I want to sit and learn about on a regular basis anyway. For me, I've invested whether it's stocks or cryptos, I invest in things that I want to use, that I am the customer for, because I understand the customer for those things. And I'm a person who actually wants to use crypto. I want to use it for daily purchases. I want it to replace my checking account and my credit card. I want it to replace wire transfers for sending money overseas.
And basically, it kind of has. All the gamblers I know, they're firing Bitcoin for big prices. I was looking online out here in the Caribbean. You can order cars from Japan and pay Bitcoin.
Well,
And you can buy Amazon gift cards. It just seems like for the big purchases, it's a Coinbase or BitPay integration. Say what you want about that. Of course, we would prefer if they were all BTC Pay servers. But it looks like Bitcoin is like accepted in so many places, right?
Well, I've used it for my business for many years. And up until just recently, I was still using Bitcoin to purchase products that I import from Europe. This was cheaper and faster than doing wire transfers, which was the only other way I could do it at the time I started. But there's scaling issues. The fees with Bitcoin are getting to be obscene. The last time I attempted a Bitcoin transfer, I attached a $27 fee to it, which is ridiculous. You're getting to the point where it's one of the more expensive options. And that took 7 hours to hit the blockchain.
So, down here in the Caribbean, we're rolling out this cool-ass Slovenian company, Go Crypto. We're rolling out a BCH solution like to a bunch of merchants, dozens of merchants on the island. And you just walk up, you pay with BCH. It obviously, is going to cost you less than a penny. And but I still think that first mover advantage, whatever the hell we started creating in 2011, that like now a decade later, you've had this acceptance with Bitcoin that made it a real thing for even a lot of normies. So it just became like, yes, and it started to cost more than a wire transfer. Yes and no. Like I attached a very small fee. I think I went like 8 Satoshis a couple days ago because I'm sending money to a buddy and it's a smaller amount. And he knows if it falls off the mempool, like whatever, we've been friends for 22 years, so it's not going to, 30, wow, getting old. But like, so it doesn't matter. And then like, I'll just send it again. So like I can get a Bitcoin transaction in for a couple cents, but not an immediate one. So you do lose some of the utility there.
It matters a lot for commerce though. And if you want it to become a currency that people actually use to buy things, it's gotta clear in as faster than a credit card.
Why Dash though? Why? Because like there's a lot of other solutions. I agree with you that the fee is ridiculous, and it was a terrible design decision not to make the block size bigger back in 17. We wouldn't even be having this discussion now, I don't think.
Well, on one hand, there's the fees. Dash has incredibly low fees. I think it was like 0.03 of a cent the last time I did a Dash transaction. Very, very cheap, but also very fast. You have instant transactions because of chain locks and instant send. You can not only have the other person instantly receive the transaction and know that it's secure without waiting for confirmations, but you can turn around and respend that transaction instantly. That's a powerful thing. The other problem, though, is governance, and I feel like this is the real underlying issue that Bitcoin had. That led to the Bitcoin Cash fork is that there wasn't really a good way for people who were actually invested in the coin to have any voice. You have big mining pools could have a voice, And then aside from that, it was whoever was loudest on social media, which I think is kind of a terrible way to come to a consensus.
I completely agree with you. The New York agreement, the shouting class in the Bitcoin, especially the maximalists, they really, and the small coiners, if you will, from that time, they really got a seat at the table there. And sure, there were some big stakeholders that also got their seat at the table. But you're correct in that if you were just sort of popular on social, if you did the conference circuit, if you will, where that got to be insane. I went to like a Bitcoin meetup or conference in like 2012 and a couple of them in like 11 and 12 when they started to just happen for the first time. And then after like the third or fourth one, I was like, well, this has just become a shill fest that everybody wants to be a speaker, make a name for themselves, shill their ICO, shill their coin, just like somebody's trying to ink some deal. It feels like a slimy feel. It felt real slimy real quick. I mean, it went from super fun to super slimy. So like, you got Dash. You're a masternode operator, it says?
Yep. And that,
Can you explain that architecture
Yeah.
a little bit, how Dash works with respect to master nodes?
Okay, so Dash has a second layer on its network. You have the mining consensus, just like Bitcoin, but then you have a second layer of paid nodes. So as opposed to how it works on Bitcoin or Litecoin, where nodes are essentially whoever wants to volunteer to do it. On Dash, the nodes are paid a portion of the block reward, which right now is 60% to masternode owners and 40% to miners.
And how much you have to pile into a masternode?
It's 1,000 Dash to buy into a masternode. There are services that do shared nodes.
What's the price of Dash?
The price of Dash right now is $223.
So $250,000, you get yourself a masternode. And then a little less than that. And then what do you $250,000 yesterday? And then what does it get you? What fees do you collect as a master node?
Or you get 60% of the payout. So miners get 40, master nodes get 60.
And what does that come out to, like per day, week, month, year, or whatever for a Dash master node?
I believe the current payout is
they got calculators everywhere.
1.48 every 9 days or so. So
That's
it
not
just
bad.
like
1,000 a month.
mining, it goes up and down with how many people are doing it. So there's a little bit of fluctuation in it.
Little 1K a month action for a master node. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not
Just
bad.
just for parking the coins. If you're going to park the coins anyway and you're a believer,
It's a little over 6%.
that's not terrible. But now let me tell you this. I want to know why Dash didn't like work or like not. That's a bad way to say it. Why didn't it go big? Like, why isn't it like the payment option everywhere? Because I remember that back in the day, that governance that you talked about, they had a pretty big marketing spend. And I remember seeing Dash ads everywhere, like maybe 15, 16, 17. I don't remember exactly when. 18 maybe?
Right, during the last bubble
And
up.
I can remember. Can I just do this one? Sure. Dash! Digital cash! Do you remember? I remember that one like sticks in my brain.
Like the airline ad, and there were some questionable ad buys. So I should explain.
But that worked. I don't know. Maybe I own some Dash. I don't even know. But it wasn't like ever really on my mind. But that stuck in my mind for years. Dash, digital cash. I don't even know if we have that ad, but there was some.
Yeah.
Why isn't
some of them were good. Some of them were better than others.
But why didn't that work? Why isn't it like a thing, like a big thing?
Here's what happened. How Dash funds itself. There's a treasury system. So as a masternode operator, in addition to running a node to a certain standard, uptime, reliability, whatever, you also vote on proposals. So anyone who wants to can submit a proposal to the Dash network for 5 Dash. And then about once a month, the masternodes vote on who to allocate funds to. And how much funds are available depends on the price of Dash, because it comes out of a block. So during that large run-up, we had a very large budget and a lot of proposals passed, and a lot of them were marketing proposals like that just splashed the name out. So since then, the price has been a lot smaller and the budget's been a lot tighter. So we haven't we haven't passed a lot of promotions that were just straight up advertising. In fact, I don't think there's been an advertising promotion for a year or two now that was really significant.
We'll do one. We'll submit one. Like we'll do for like 10 dash. We'll do like a month of like just I'll say that once a show, and
okay,
Tony will do it too.
We should talk about that, but
I'll just give you a dash digital cash. I just do that once per show.
Sold.
At a random time, and it's just 10 dash. Let's try it for a month. Let me get the proposal. Or I guess it costs 5
dash.
5 dash to make the proposal. So we got to go bigger. We
usually
like
people ask for their 5 dash back as part of the proposal budget. Now, well, we haven't spent any money on advertising, and that is going to change. There's a proposal right now to do marketing to go along with the Dash platform release, which is the major upgrade that's been in the works for a couple of years now. But all of the money going into Dash for a while now has been going into development and making strategic partnerships and under the hood stuff that isn't really exciting to the speculative investors. It doesn't splash Dash's name around, but it builds function. We have chain locks to prevent 51% attacks. We have instant send to make transactions spendable and instantly respendable. And a ton of the money and effort has gone into doing things like building Dash platform for usernames for apps to be built on top of Dash.
But like, why didn't it work? Like, if it's like a penny, if it's like everywhere, like, why isn't it the solution? Why, like, isn't there like more things built for it, more people that accept it? Why didn't it really eat up that market share if it worked so well? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well,
I think Dash
it did work. I think it didn't work as far as what didn't work is grabbing speculative interest, which isn't what Dash is trying to do. Dash is trying to solve real world problems for people who need to, move money around, make payments. There's a lot of focus on transactions in places like Venezuela where their regular currency doesn't really work, where even the credit card system doesn't work. And we have major partners. Dash is accepted by their major department and grocery stores, Pizza Hut, Church's Chicken, a whole bunch of chains. And you can watch videos of people using it down there. They use it for parking, addressing real world uses. Most of the investment in crypto is being done by people who never actually use the crypto.
No, you're selling me on Dash. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're selling me on Dash. What's the best mobile wallet for Dash?
There's
parking with.
It's just called Dash Wallet on Android. I think it's called the same on iOS.
You're gonna get me playing with. You're gonna get me playing, making a couple Dash transactions.
It's super fast and easy. Do it side by side with a.
You're saying it's fast, cheap, and reliable.
It's super fast. It's super cheap, and it's super reliable.
It also claims to be private if you want it as well. But I've been studying some of the criticisms against Dash. I'm wondering if I can throw some of these at you here and see what you say. The first has to do with the privacy. It seems that Dash really just used a software or a protocol called CoinJoin that really any other coin could add to its own transactions and become Dash-like with its privacy. So what makes Dash exclusively better if it's just kind of using this, for lack of a better term, third-party mixer algorithm to make these private?
I mean, it is CoinJoin, and I'm not really an expert on the different on how all of that works. It's not a feature I've really used myself, but my understanding is that it basically is CoinJoin. The difference between CoinJoin on Dash as opposed to, say, Bitcoin Cash is just that it's built in, but it's essentially the same. There isn't functionally any real difference as far as I'm aware between using coin mixing on Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash and using it on Dash, other than it's conveniently a tab in the wallet.
Okay, so the other question I had was, the masternode setup sounds a lot to me like a Visa card just has servers all around the world. Now, it doesn't work on blockchain technology, but it essentially is like Visa if it's not fully decentralized. We start getting into the triangle of security, privacy, and speed. But I guess I'm wondering, why is this better than Visa?
Well, for Visa is a centralized service where you first have to sign one of those ridiculous credit card contracts and agree to all their terms and pay all their fees, and the merchant pays even more fees, which leads to a higher cost of all your products. It's also permissioned. If Visa wants to decide, hey, your business can't process Visa anymore, and then you're cut off, you're done. Nobody can say you're not allowed to use Dash. It's permissionless. Anybody can use it. There also isn't fraud. I I have a credit card, and it pretty frequently stops working because they flag something as a suspicious transaction. Then I have to call the number and get my credit card to work. That doesn't happen with Dash. There's no such thing as and that's pretty universal across crypto. There's no fraudulent cryptocurrency transactions, at least for the Bitcoin-like chains.
So speaking of fraud, Dash has not been accused of that since its inception, but right at launch, it seemed to accidentally launch, and there was some confusion as to who ended up with the initial Dash coins, and there was some real controversy around just the insta-mine that happened right at Dash's launch. Can you speak to that or know anything about it?
Well, I wasn't there at launch, so what I know from it is history. But basically, there was a bug. I think it was inherited from Litecoin, if I remember right, because originally Dash was a Litecoin fork that resulted in some early coins being mined faster than they should have. They weren't quite instant. But the situation was anybody could mine the coins. It wasn't a pre-mine or something that was private. It was public. And I think people mostly make a big deal out of this to troll Dash because if you think about it, what is the problem with a pre-mine or an early, a fast mine or whatever you want to call it? The problem would be that a bunch of the early people get all the coins super cheap, and then everybody else has to pay more, buy them from the early people.
HFSP.
But that really wasn't the case with Dash. Dash was super cheap for a long time after that, and anybody who thought that Dash was a good project had plenty of time to buy Dash at trivial value. And if anything, the fast mine probably led to Dash being cheaper for longer because it resulted in a whole bunch of coins dumping on the market. So I think at this point, you have somebody come in now, many years later, and say, oh, well, Dash is so expensive because of the pre-mine. They don't really understand. They just weren't paying attention to it. Everybody is sad when they miss out on the growth of something and wishes they were in cheaper. And I think that's all that is.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's not a meaningful thing as far as how good the coin works or what its potential is.
Okay, and my final question to you on this, it seems that you can be a Dash node operator or you can do a master node hosting company. As I checked the Dash's documentation, there's only 4 master node hosting companies, and I know or have heard of in a time, let me check my notes here, in August 2017, there was a fatal flaw found in the instant send feature, and it was one of these hosting companies, I believe, was able to use a master key to remotely disable this feature across the entire Dash network. So it seems like Dash, the whole network, can be managed without consent or notice. Does this give an opportunity for Dash community to create an emergency and then act on it in concert without any real consent by the users?
I feel like there's a couple different things being mixed together there. As far as master nodes, you can run a master node on anything, just like a regular Bitcoin node. You could run it on your laptop at home. You shouldn't because of reliability. But you can run it on AWS or any cloud hosting service. There's a handful of companies that specifically offer master node management services. But there's definitely a lot more than 4 places that master nodes are hosted on. As far as the instant send thing, initially when it was rolled out, how Dash rolls out their forks is a little bit different. They're called sporks, and they have they're enabled at certain thresholds. So it's basically enough people, something like 85% of the network upgrades the software before it becomes active. It's not like Bitcoin, where 51% of the nodes are on the new software. That's the new thing, and that's done to avoid potential accidental forks of the network. And I don't remember specifically what the thing was with Instant Send. For a while, it was a brand new feature that they, like the respendability option of it was, if I remember right, it was kind of an unintended side effect of something else, and they weren't sure if they wanted to leave it in the network or not. But again, my memory is not great as far as how that all went down, but it is a different process than other coins generally have.
So then we can move on from that. I just wanted to get your thoughts. I don't know if you've heard much about the Bitcoin scaling solutions that are about to roll out, or they're not quite they don't scale quite as fast, but they do offer a little more security. Things like Taproot, Schnorr signatures. Have you studied those much? Do you see much of a future for the improvements in Bitcoin?
I'm not familiar with those. I've looked at things like Lightning and wrapped Bitcoin and solutions that are available now, and I don't see those as viable candidates. The ones that are off chain, I see as kind of a bait and switch. You've sold us on the security of the Bitcoin network, but now we're not going to put your transactions on chain. So that's kind of a deal breaker for me.
What if Bitcoin just raised the block size?
Well, that would be Bitcoin Cash, and I have nothing against Bitcoin Cash's model. I think they've, for financial transactions alone, that will probably work. I think computer technology will keep up, and that's viable. I think that the problem Bitcoin Cash has is that that's not going to be the last contentious upgrade, and it lacks a governance system to deal with that. So that, yeah. And then with Ethereum, you have a bigger problem though, because there's not just financial transactions, and they're trying to put all this app data on the chain, which Dash has done in a different way. The Dash platform is going to just store state changes on a side chain and have the app data on the master nodes where it can be altered or removed by those state changes. So I think that's far more scalable than what Ethereum is doing.
Did you check a look at ETH2? Does ETH2 have a shot?
Have a shot. I mean, yeah, it has a shot.
It'll all work because of proof of stake somehow.
I think it has a shot. I hold Ethereum, though I mostly hold it because I don't see a better option yet. I'm hoping Dash platform will be some competition to it, but there isn't really a
Solana.
I'm familiar with that.
Oh, okay. The SPF chain. They're gonna drop Solana and Ethereum like chain. Serum, a DEX from SPF. Very interesting stuff. So many projects now. You can't get your finger on all of them, can you?
You can't keeping up to date on like the top 20 is a full-time
Binance
job.
chain. You check out the Binance chain.
I really personally don't have any interest in projects that are centralized behind a company, where a company issues the coin, controls it. That's not what I'm looking for. Coins. I'm not saying that means
Binance chain launched a mainnet. Now, obviously, Binance is going to severely influence Binance chain, but they do have a mainnet. Just by the way, but there is actually.
I think.
Yeah, no, I think it's valid concerns to never really even regard a company formed blockchain. I get it. I totally get that. And what else? I mean, what about where are all our NFT? Have you been following this Top Shot thing? This is on the tip of every gambler I know's tongue, where the CryptoKitties guys decided, well, ETH isn't working. Can't pay $39 to buy a $12 CryptoKitty. So when it came time to do it for the NBA, they made their own blockchain. They said, all right, here's Flow. Still don't know anything about it or how it works, but have you been following that, Eric? Did you see their scaling solution of just making their own blockchain to hold their massive amount of NBA-themed NFTs? Officially licensed?
I haven't, because that's not really the sort of thing I'm personally interested in.
Not
using.
A basketball guy, are you, Eric?
I'm not, no.
I just kind of read that. Neither am I, honestly, but I think more so than you.
Yeah.
It's going nuts. Just look at it from a market cap perspective. There's $1.8 billion in NBA cards, in digital collectible NBA cards.
Are they
Not really
storing the
fit.
data on chain?
Yeah, on the Flow blockchain, the Dapper Labs people, they did CryptoKitties, and then they took some Andreessen Horowitz money and some other pretty good VC, good names on their funding round, and then they made this Flow blockchain, and then they did this huge deal with the NBA, something like 9 digits in sales in the last couple of days on these NBA NFTs, basically, and yeah, it's all on chain. Interesting project.
Dash.
So, Tony, reach down in your sack, let us get to the bag, and tell us what the Market Mania mailbag has in store today. On this blood red day, and we just talked about Dash the whole time. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's just
Some
a dip,
shows are
just
like
buy
that.
the dip. It's another one of them dips. Look, we got Eric Anderson asking, or actually telling, Nano has 0 fees, is instant, and will 10x in this bull run. Has nodes only. It's much better than Dash, he says. So do you know much about Nano, and why that
I know
might
a
be
bit about
ideal?
it. It's an interesting technology. I think it has the same issue that Bitcoin Cash has, in that it lacks the kind of governance structure that Dash does. I think there's the decentralized autonomous organization is really the key feature of Dash. That's what sets it apart. Any coin can avoid the transaction bottleneck that Bitcoin has simply by making a larger block size. And Nano's gone a step farther by taking it from a trivial fee to no fee. And that may work. I don't know. It's definitely interesting. But I think the DAO, the Dash DAO, is itself as interesting a technology as crypto, and I really think that's where the future of these decentralized platforms are, because you need a way to organize it. Because you end up with a situation where either you have a figurehead, like Ethereum has Vitalik, or other projects have some key person who basically everybody follows, or you have a company that comes in and puts money into it and ends up being the dominant force. And I think if you want to maintain a truly decentralized network where all the holders and people who actually use the coin have a say, you need a DAO to do that. You need some way for them all to have a voice and to direct, for the community to direct the network.
Next question is from Chris. He's asking thoughts on Coinbase invested pool. I guess I don't know anything about that. Have you heard of that?
Liquidity provider, I believe, on Coinbase. No way Eric is gonna have anything to do with that. You're gonna give your coins to Brian Anderson right now? You're gonna do that, Eric, and earn a little liquidity, earn a little APY?
Are you talking about the?
Sounds like a Coinbase liquidity pool.
I think it's just the same thing that Binance, FTX, and the boys are doing. You throw
probably
your
not.
coins. Yeah, it doesn't sound. Tell them to have fun staying poor. Tony, reply back to that one. Tell them HFSP. No, don't fuck around right there.
All right.
Not investment
final one.
advice.
Do you like Zcash, Monero, or any other privacy coins?
I think if privacy is your primary focus, then something like Monero makes a lot of sense, because that's the primary focus of that coin. As far as which is the better route to go between the two, I don't know. That's not really my focus. I'm more interested in what we can use for regular commerce all the time, and I don't really see that as the focus of those projects. But yeah, certainly nothing against them. I just think they're a different use case than what I'm looking at.
All right. Well, the sack is empty there, Brian. Why don't you get us into the next part of the show? Everybody's favorite
All
part.
right. It is time to get your not investment advice, do your own research hats on, and put your safety glasses on, because it's the Market Mania pick of the day. T the P, pick of the day.
I'm going with Serum. This one has just been pumping while everything else is dumping, so I feel like you could make some money on this one. I think it's another Sam Bankman Fried.
SBF coin.
SBF coin.
An SBF coin.
He's
He's aping
rocking,
in.
I think. So
he doesn't even know it's a DEX. Do you even know it's a dex?
No, it's my justification.
No.
Is this one's going up, everything's going down. So
Doesn't even know it's a dex. All right, dex on the Solana chain. All right, here we go. Eric Olson, what's that pick of the day?
Well, Dash, of course. That's
Yeah, I figured you're gonna go Dash. It seemed like
that's where I'm going.
seemed like a Dash kind of day. All right, so he's got Dash, and then I'm going with the S&P 500. I'm BTFDing for the Jack tracked Market Mania picks of the day. Got to have a little SPY exposure, balance the range. All right. Yep. Buy in the dip. Everything's down. It's blood red. Sorry we didn't talk about it today. It doesn't matter. You guys know. It is, it's there. You can see it. Bitcoin down, SPY down. And we're going to leave you with a little ditty from, we're going to go with Biggie. We're going to go Biggie today. And it's from the 10 Crack Commandments. Number 6, that goddamn credit debted. You think a crackhead paying you back? Shit, forget it. Like and subscribe right here on YouTube and follow us at Market Mania Show on Twitter and even on TikTok. We will see you tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. But for now, it's lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine.
Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl.
Switch it up.
I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury. However, turn it where I would turn it. Can't lie like it's Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine should've looked the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind. Was afraid of the time. Strobe light like in the moonlight.